got you.
All right, creatures of the night, welcome to Talking Taker, episode 160 of our encyclopedic exploration, digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. My name is Alex Dorio, and I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking, and I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy. He is my brother of destruction. He's been with me on this journey to hell and back, Mr. Travis White. And tonight, Travis, we got a family reunion as the first family of destruction comes back together, and the big, bad, bold, beautiful Paul Bearer comes back into our lives for a little period of time.
Yes, sir. We got a family feud here, and survey says, on this match. Just spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Last week's, we both dug it, man. Both dug that match. Way, surpassed the bar I had set really low. But this one, we'll get there. But yeah, survey says,
had high hopes for this one, had high expectations for it. Man, if someone would have told you in 1997 that Undertaker and Kane were going to have a Hell in a Cell match, you'd be just chomping at the bit to watch something like this happen, finally. But after 13 years, you're exactly right, my friend. It does not quite live up to the hype, especially not after last week's exceeded our expectations. But we're going to get to all that. We'll cover Paul Bearer heading back into catering for the first time in a while. We'll get to that here.
It's like if Bill and Ted had a reunion 20 years later. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, who would want to watch that? It's just be old and wrinkled and gray and terrible.
Just kidding. It can't possibly be as bad as that movie is going to be. But anyway.
It got good reviews, man.
That means nothing to me.
Well, we're going to give you our reviews of this match here. Hell in a Cell 2010, Undertaker and Kane for the World Heavyweight Championship here. We appreciate all you creatures of the night sitting with us for a supersized marathon episode last week with so much ground to cover. Yeah. We're going to make it up for you this week, though. So if you haven't quite finished last week's, or it took you extra time to finish last week's, you can cram this one in. It's going to be quite a bit shorter because we've only got 2 weeks of ground to cover. So not quite like SummerSlam and Payback, not just a 1 week build. We got a whole 2 weeks of build here to this pay-per-view. As we take our time traveling hearse back to September of 2010, and we pick up, like we said, with Undertaker losing for the first time ever. Kane has upended the balance of power. He has stolen, seemingly, the Undertaker's power away from him, stolen his mojo, and he defeated him at Night of Champions 2010 to retain that world title. And he's going to carry it into here on SmackDown, September 24th, 2010. Travis, why don't you take us away?
I'll take us away, and we're about to go away from my network TV because this is the final one. Next week, we're moving on to Sci-Fi, baby. It's going to get crazy. So
it's rarely an upgrade when you move over to the Sci-Fi network, but somehow this was. So that's really good news.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we see a graphic this night again, September 24th, saying that Kane has a challenge for The Undertaker later on tonight. So Kane opens the show holding his world title over his head, and we see him coming out to defend his title tonight in an opening match. And you've just beaten your brother. It's been 13 years. You finally got a win over him. Who better than to just defend your title against then? Christopher Masters.
The masterpiece. Man.
Masterpiece.
Leaving my network with a bang.
Yeah. Talk about going out with a whimper. Golly.
I don't know,
Masters
dude.
Comes out.
He's a main eventer in my book. I ruined your SmackDown season with him. Made him the world champion. Ruined CM Punk's year-long title reign.
Well, he does not. That fairy dust from that game does not transfer over here to the real life. So, goodness gracious, Kane escapes the Master Lock and basically dominates Chris Masters after that and wins after chokeslam and tombstone. And but I want to point out, Kane does make sure to do the throat slash before the tombstone, just to kind of mock Taker, just to put a little salt on the wound from that win the night before. So, remember when the Master Lock was like unbeatable and the most like devastating move on the entire roster?
Unstoppable.
Like in 2005
Master
or 6.
Lock challenge.
Yeah, man. And here Kane just like breaks it like it's nothing. So, but anyway, after this match, Kane is not even broken a sweat. He's ready to get on the microphone and talk. So he gets on the mic, and we get the red lights down here, and he tells Taker that whatever bit of powers he possesses, still he couldn't stop Kane at Night of Champions. He said, "I took all that you had, and I proved that I'm the dominant brother. I crushed your skull, and I crushed your legend at the same time. You're no better than the weak people in this arena and all the people watching around the universe." So it's funny when you don't say WWE before universe, because he's just talking about anyone in the universe. Just Buzz Aldrin, Canada's finest export. I mean, whatever. Anyone watching around the entire universe. So thought that was a little grand of him to put it out there.
Very grandiose.
Well, anyway, he says that he can smell the fear. He can. I guess it's a new power he inherited. This is pre-COVID, so he still has a sense of smell. So, but and he goes into the crowd and says he can smell the stench of fear in this arena, and everybody here in this arena is afraid of the unknown and afraid of failure, and they know what I'm capable of. And then he's standing next to a little kid, and Kane's going on saying, like, I'm the living, breathing embodiment of your fear. And this little kid, bless his heart, he's just staring up at Kane chewing gum like it's not even a big deal.
He ain't afraid.
Kind of took away. He ain't afraid no ghost. Yeah. But,
it was really cool, though. I dug
it.
It was a very different,
yeah.
approach to this promo. So I thought it was cool, even if the kid didn't quite play along.
Well, he doesn't at first, because then Kane gets down like next to the kid, and he's looking at him, and he's like, this monster isn't going anywhere. And at this point, the kid is like playing like he's supposed to. He's kind of reacting with the big bug eyes and stuff. So it's pretty cool. So then Kane says that later tonight I have a challenge for Undertaker that I'm not going to allow him to deny it.
Big brother, this past Sunday, I may have destroyed your body, but soon enough, and on my own terms, I will destroy your legend and your very soul.
That's we don't know what he's going to say, but he's going to say something on his own terms here and make a challenge. So later on in the night, we see Undertaker sitting all alone on the stairwell backstage, and he's really looking rough. He's coughing like we mentioned last week, and looking pale-ski like he was last week, and he's just kind of like staring at the wall. We see him maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the night. And it looks like he's got the bird flu, man. He's just like sitting there, just like all hunched over, and just really looking like a sad Sally. So, and then at like the last time we see him, we're like the camera's at the bottom of the stairwell, and Taker's sitting there with his head down, and you can see like a shadow of a door opening up, like from the side where the camera is. And Taker's like,
"Get out of here." I said get out.
And he looks up, and like whatever he sees is amazing to him. He's like taken aback, and he stands up, rolls his eyes in the back of the head, which is basically 2 thumbs up from Taker, is 2 eye rolls in the back of your head. That's the equivalent. Like Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up, well, Taker gives it 2 eye rolls.
So his review matters to you.
Yo, absolutely. He's the Undertaker.
Okay.
He's the Undertaker. Yeah. So, but yeah, his review matters fully to me. So anyway,
is that what you did when you saw Tenet the other night? As soon as it was over, you just rolled your eyes in the back.
I just rolled my eyes in the back of my head. Yeah, true story, ladies and gentlemen. I saw Tenet sneak preview on Monday night, and I was the only one in the theater. So don't even worry about me getting COVID, baby. I had a mask and I was ready. I was ready to social distance. but nobody was there. Just
Yeah.
old Sweet Tea here.
Complete social distance, man.
But I'm going to tell you guys, if you have the chance to see any movie, I don't care what it is, it could be Trolls World Tour. If you go see anything on the big screen by yourself, you get the whole thing, that is awesome.
Absolutely.
It was so awesome.
Yep.
Man. So, anyway. Anywho. Well, later on, the main event segment, Kane makes his way out to the ring, and he's under the red lights again, and that ominous music, like you mentioned last week, is playing, and he says, "There's a new beast of the apocalypse, and it's me." And he says, he delivered Taker's personal Armageddon at Night of Champions, and now it's my yard. And he knows Taker has questions, and he's wondering how the Phenom fell so far, so fast, so quickly. He says, he didn't end things Sunday because the fun has just started, which is funny because the whole thing before that was like, I'm going to end you on Sunday. But then it's like, oh, we're going to stretch this out a little bit. So,
yeah.
But he says, I've decided that the end of The Undertaker will come in the dark corridor that you made famous, big brother. The very same place I left you a mangled wretch, defeated when you thought you were rid of me forever. It will come in hell in a cell. Big brother, the devil may have once answered to you, but now I'm the devil's favorite demon, and you're not welcome in hell unless I take you there. So, again, coming from two other people, that line would have been hokey and cheesy as heck. But it really plays into their history. It's cool. This is the debut of Kane in '97 from In the Hell in a Cell, so he's going to take him there to where it all started, and basically put the nail in the coffin, or so we think. So. Kane says all the lost souls are going to answer to him now, and Taker's got no choice but to face him.
You need to understand you have no choice. You will face me at hell in a cell, and the epilogue to our story will read the same as the epitaph on your tombstone. Here lies the Undertaker. He will never rest in peace. He will forever burn in hell.
That's a little much for a tombstone.
You got to pay for a lot of words. You got to pay for on that tombstone, man. Kane's.
I'm sure he knows the guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, at that comment, the gong hits and the Latin chanting plays. The Druids roll a casket out onto the stage. Purple lights come on now. So, again, the casket's rolled down to the side of the ring, and Kane is eyeing this casket in disbelief and shaking his head. And he's pretty mad, and the lights come up, and Kane's like really playing it up, slowly approaching that casket. He reaches down and opens it, and Paul Bearer is on the inside. So,
What?
First time in 6 years, we see Paul Bearer on our screen, and he's in the casket. He's got the urn on his chest. So this was big news back then.
Oh yeah,
Big news.
I knew it was coming. Watching it back, but I was still like pumping my fist in the air, man. Paul Bearer.
Oh yeah,
back in action. Love it.
Oh yeah, it was great, man. Crowd's loving it too. I was loving it, watching it here. He looks a lot. I mean, he looks a lot older, obviously, but he's a lot thinner than he was when we saw him 6 years ago. So that's good. He's healthier on that part. But at this point, then the lights go out and the gong hits again. The lights come back up. And the Undertaker is standing behind Kane in the ring. Kane turns around. Taker starts unloading on him. The crowd's loving this part. Running, diving, clothesline. Taker goes for a chokeslam, but Kane cuts out of it and gets out of the ring and backs up the rampway, and he's like holding his head in his hands and is just in shock that Paul Bearer is back. Because again, Paul Bearer, those of you paying attention, that's his dad. So remember that. So
last time he saw him, he was in a concrete crypt.
Yeah, exactly. He died. He died in front.
Oh, he didn't die. He didn't die. The next week, they said he just had severe internal injuries or something.
Yeah. Well, he's been in a vegetative state for 6 years, maybe. Who knows?
Bingo. Yes.
But, yeah. Taker whips his head around toward Paul Bearer. Bearer holds up the urn, and Taker does the Shakespeare pose, which, again, we haven't seen them do that in a long time. And it's just an epic return. I really love seeing them reunited here. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Very cool. As much as Kane and Chris Masters in a pointless match is not going to sell you on coming over with SmackDown over to Sci-Fi. This is going to sell you to tune back in next week to see The Undertaker and Paul Bearer reunited in this epic return as we go ahead and take it to the go-home show here. Friday, October 1st, 2010. That's a cool date. 100110 right there. It's like some Christopher Nolan stuff there for you, probably, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as you said, season premiere of SmackDown, first episode on Sci-Fi, where it would air for about the next 6 years or so, I think, before it moved over to the USA Network. And as we have been getting on every season premiere of late, we get a new opening video, a new theme song here. And Travis, you might hate...
Live.
It's live. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. But yeah, as I said, they've had a lot of theme songs over the years, and Travis, you might hate me for this, but I like this one as far as a SmackDown theme song goes. It's Green Day's Know Your Enemy. And, I'm not a huge Green Day mark or anything. I like some of their stuff, but I thought this song works for a wrestling show. Like, way better than Papa Roach or Nickelback or any of that other crap. What say you?
Oh, without question, man. I'll take Green Day over those two bands in a heartbeat, man. Dookie was a great album back in the 90s.
Sure.
And I liked the one after that. Nimrod, that was a fun album, too. Those were fun back in the day. But, this is, I wasn't a big fan of them post, when they came out, American Idiot, and just everything after that kind of sucked, in my opinion. But this was a great wrestling song, great theme song for SmackDown, so.
I'm shocked, honestly, that it's intact on the WWE Network.
Yeah, me too.
Because this was like a real song that was on the radio and stuff.
Yeah,
it sounded
exactly.
just like that. Well, even bigger than Green Day, we've got our old buddy, investigative journalist Michael Cole. He's going to join Tool Grisham and massive moron Matt Stryker on commentary this week for this special occasion, apparently. And we get a big main event for the first SmackDown on Sci-Fi. A match that's main evented a few pay-per-views last year. Undertaker and CM Punk going to go at it yet again. So this is Undertaker's first time with Paul Bearer at ringside with him in 6 years since that Concrete Crypt match against the Dudley Boys. Paul Bearer, I guess he wasn't really at ringside for that. He was at the top of the entryway, so maybe a few weeks before that would be the last time. And you can tell the difference in Undertaker. Man, he is so much stronger here than when he faced Punk a few weeks ago on SmackDown. And he's actually able to defeat him much more easily with a tombstone and get some big momentum on the road to Hell in a Cell in just a couple days. Taker and Bearer celebrate just like old times, get the Shakespeare pose. Taker hits all the greatest hits. Man, they're back and maybe better than ever here, all reunited.
Yeah, and one thing that Matt Stryker says during this is he says that, and again, this even changes, I think, later on. We'll cover this, but Matt Stryker says that Paul Bearer lived in a funeral home, had an affair with a woman, and the demon seed of that woman was Kane, and that woman was Taker's mother. And then he wonders if the mother's ashes are in the urn. So he just explicates there and decides that, their ashes are in the urn. But again, he does specify here that it was Taker's mom, but we'll get to that later on. So
yes, he knows the facts here. He gets them right. He's read the comic book that you read. He's listened to Paul Bearer and Jerry Lawler's locker room talk. But the moment that frustrates me, I kind of alluded to it on last week's episode. It's going to come during the pay-per-view, so we'll get to that here.
Right.
Later on in the night, Kane is going to have his tune-up match for the pay-per-view with another strong challenger. He's going to face John Cena in the main event in a lumberjack match. The Nexus are the lumberjacks, and it just devolves into a big giant brawl, and the gong hits. Undertaker pops up into the ring and starts to brawl with Kane, tosses him into the ringside area, just unloads on him, throwing punches, Kane's throwing right hands. They fight into the crowd and throughout all the Boomer Sooners in the crowd. No Jack Swagger doing sing-along song here tonight, but Taker is handling Kane and giving it to him. Taker punches Kane back into the ringside area, slams his head into the stairs, gets some ground and pound on him, gets him back in the ring. Kane boots Undertaker down, but Undertaker sits up. And then Paul Bearer gets into the ring and raises up the urn, just like old times. And Taker is able to power up, gets a choke slam on Kane, does the throat slash, and Kane retreats out of the ring as he starts screaming, "It's not over." Undertaker poses with Paul Bearer in the ring, does the Shakespeare pose. I mean, what better way to go off the air on your first episode of Sci-Fi than that iconic pose right there? I mean, if you're just flipping channels, you haven't seen wrestling in a long time, or you're just popping in on this new station, or you're tuning in early to that episode of Warehouse 13 or Eureka, or whatever the heck was on Sci-Fi. Who Wants to Be a Superhero? Maybe you're hooked
Excelsior.
from that moment. Man, we love that show.
Or yeah, I did. Or maybe you're thinking it's replays from 1990 on Sci-Fi, and you're like, "Goo, these guys are on TV in high def from 1990." So, yeah, dude, my favorite part of this whole entire thing is, like you mentioned, when Taker kind of powers up and gets all that stuff and hits the offense and chokes him on Kane. Paul Bearer literally does a thumbs up in the corner. He's like, "Yeah," it's like, I loved it, man. It was so good.
He's the best.
It's almost like he's out of character. He's just excited to be there. So.
He is. He's excited to be back home.
Well, man, that's going to take us home to where, this family feud began, Hell in a Cell, and back in 97. So this is going to take us to October 3rd, 2010 from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. And, brother, I have not seen 1 ounce of this show. I know what happens because I read everything, but I haven't seen anything on this show at all.
Don't recall ever seeing it either. I do remember reading some pretty bad reviews of it back in the day, though. From Meltzer and Alvarez, all their kin. So, I remember this one getting a lot of thumbs down. So I was, a little skeptical going into it, but I was optimistic based on how much we enjoyed last week's match. I was hoping, maybe we'd go into it with different eyes. The build-up's been really fun. As you mentioned earlier, if you tried to do this with anybody else, it would be so goofy and cheesy. But the fact that it's these guys with all of their history and all of the backstory, all of their ridiculous things they've done over 13 years, for some reason it just works. And you buy into it, and it's actually really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like you said, revisiting it now in 2020, I was very stoked for it because, again, I don't worry about what somebody else's opinion of the match was. I want to watch it myself and see, how it actually unfolded and stuff. But you know what? We'll get to it. They weren't that wrong.
Well,
the other main event match, maybe another reason I didn't really care for this pay-per-view to watch it was that the other main event was Orton and Sheamus, which I can't stand either one of them at this point, man. Like, your main event is Orton and Sheamus. Like, I don't know, man. I was just like, that. I can't stand either one of these guys in 2010. So
no, you don't want to see those two in a Hell in a Cell, really. That's not going to get you to throw your money down. But the opening video highlights these two main event world title Hell in a Cell matches and puts them over both pretty equally. It's not really that focused on Taker and Kane too much. Later on in the night, massive tool Josh Matthews, he's creeping around backstage and enters a room with some purple lighting, and it's Prince back there. Oh no, wait a second. It's Paul Bearer. What if Paul Bearer was dressed as Prince?
Oh man, we just opened up a whole
purple rain.
What's your favorite Prince song?
Me?
Yeah. Just side note, we're almost done with this episode.
Little Red Corvette.
Mine's 7.
That's a good one.
That's hands down. Nothing compares to that to me. So
nothing compares to you. Yeah, that's a
exactly.
All right, nice sidebar. I enjoyed that. My favorite Prince song is the episode of New Girl that stars Prince. That's one of the funniest half hours of television I've ever seen in my life. So that's my favorite Prince song.
My favorite Prince music video is Batman
Bad Dance
by Tim Burton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the whole entire movie with Prince in it. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's on our Prince podcast
on March when we went and met Taker.
We talked about it. Yeah, it came up a lot.
Yeah.
That's on our Prince podcast on Patreon. If you guys want to follow us over there, every album.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Well, Paul Bearer talks to Master Tool Josh Matthews, and Josh asks Paul why he's returned just now. Paul says,
"My son Kane might think that he's the only one that has a master plan. But for 6 long years, I've been biding my time very patiently, developing my own master plan, waiting for the time to make my presence felt. And while Kane may be the devil's favorite demon, he will never be the father of destruction's favorite son."
So, I love that nickname that Paul Bearer's given himself, the father of destruction, to the brothers of destruction. I'm like, why has that never come up in 13 years? But it's not accurate.
Right, exactly.
He's not the Undertaker's father.
No, exactly. Exactly. They share the same mother and storyline, not father. So anyway, it's just did he forget that he wasn't Taker's dad? I don't know, man.
I don't know. And maybe they were trying to retcon it because, like, in hindsight, he probably just should be Undertaker's dad. Like, that probably should have been the whole storyline all along. But for some reason, they chose to never go that route. But he's a father figure to him.
Sure. Well, after that, we get a Make-A-Wish promo. I just wanted to say was Something Beautiful by my favorite band, Need to Breathe. So it was always good to see them on there. Oh, speaking of them, we talked about Nickelback earlier. I listened to an interview with them. They had a new album drop this week, and somebody asked them on Instagram what their least favorite song is. They meant of theirs, but they all said in unison, "Photograph" by Nickelback. So that was pretty good. They're like, "Oh, most definitely Photograph by Nickelback."
Wow.
They're like, "No, we meant of your own song." But anyway, so that's also why they're my favorite bands.
If you ever get on one of those, you should ask them who the connection is that gets them on all the WWE video packages, because WWE loves them. I want to know if they're like secretly big wrestling fans undercover.
It might be.
They're from the South, so man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I bet they're big Ric Flair fans.
Probably so. Anyway, well, we're gonna get some big fans on commentary. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler and Matt Striker again, which I can't wait till this ends because Matt Striker just about blows it for me and you both here tonight. So
it's not great. No, I'm ready for the Striker era to be over here because they're previewing the match, and Striker says, "This is a father's nightmare, a mother's sin, and a sadist's dream." And I have no idea what the heck he's talking about. Like, father's nightmare, I get. Sure, Paul Bearer, it's his nightmare, I guess. A mother's sin, I guess he's talking about Kane's mother, or Undertaker's mother, I guess. Sadist dream. I don't know whose dream it is. Baffled by what he's talking about. I'm sure Michael Cole slapped him in the back of the head at that point.
Yeah, maybe so. Or he should have. But, this is the main event of the night, as it should be, with the history and the story you got here, especially with Paul Bearer returning, just bringing it all full circle to 1997. So, long video package before. And Michael Cole says this is the 21st Hell in a Cell match, which I don't think either one of us fact-checked him, but I trust him. So, and then, of course, you're going to get that ominous dun 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 music as the cell lowers. And this cell, man, it gets bigger every time we see it, dude.
It really does feel like that. Yeah. And of course, we talk about the history of Kane's debut, where he debuted inside the Hell in a Cell the very first time in 1997. So the history between these two is intertwined inside Hell in a Cell. It is kind of crazy that it took this long to get to a one-on-one Hell in a Cell match between these two. And kind of makes you wish they had done it a little bit sooner. But We'll get to that
Yeah.
as we go along here. But it is still really neat to see them finally facing off and to have Paul Bearer back along for the ride, too. I'm glad they were able to rope him back in here for the part of this build. As the world champion Kane comes out first, which is kind of surprising until you think about, we got to have Taker slam the door on his way into the cell. So
right.
He can't slam the door first and then open it back up for Kane later on.
Right. Exactly. It only makes sense to do that. So, Kane comes out, like you said. And Michael Cole said this is Kane's third Hell in a Cell match. So, was he in that? He was in that tag match on Raw, right? And then did he face like Mankind on Raw, like randomly, like in a 2-minute match? Was it those two? Would that be his? Because he hadn't been in another Hell in a Cell I can think of, like a pay-per-view match.
I don't remember.
That's got to be it.
No, I'd have to go back and look at it. Yeah, it could be. Creatures of the Night. Let us know.
I don't know. Well, after that, we get Taker's entrance, the gong, and Dallas just pops huge for him. The Big D is ready for the big UT to come out here and take some names and take some souls here. So got his usual entrance here with the pyro, the smoke, the purple lights, and then I thought it was cool again because we're going to get the first time in 6 years that he said Paul Bearer appears through the smoke first with the urn in hand. So really, really cool. Which I guess, did he get the urn back from the Dudley Boys when he surfaced from the concrete crypt? I guess.
Yeah, he must have. He must have went to the pawn shop or something. I don't know.
In Dudleyville?
Maybe Paul Heyman pawned it off to repay some of those ECW paychecks or something like that.
Probably.
You are correct, Travis. There were 2 Raw's War Hell in a Cell matches. Undertaker and Stone Cold versus Mankind and Kane on June 15th, 1998. And then Mankind versus Kane on August 24th, 1998. So I had totally forgotten about that second one, that singles match. But you were spot on, my friend. And
perfect.
According to Wikipedia, this is officially the 21st Hell in a Cell match. So Michael Cole, we will give you a gold star for that one. So Undertaker, as you said, he's got the sleeveless robe here, no hoodie, and he insists that Paul Bearer stay outside of the cell. Paul's trying to come into the cell, and Bearer's screaming at Undertaker, "You need me here, you need me here," and, raising the urn up, but Undertaker wants to protect his father figure and sends Paul Bearer to the outside. But while he's doing that, he's distracted, and Kane is going to strike first before the door can actually be closed to the cell. And they're even going to start the match outside of the structure.
Yeah, they are. And he slams Taker's head into the mesh, and then they wind up brawling outside. And they can make it back into the cell pretty quickly here. But it is cool to see again, like we did last week, them fighting before the match, quote-unquote, officially begins. So that's pretty cool. And then they go inside. Kane grabs a chair and runs at Taker with it, but Taker just boots it right into his face, and he slams Kane into the cell. And then Taker grabs that chair and hits Kane with it, and then hits his head into the steps, and they go back in the ring, and Taker splashes him in the corner a couple times, goes ahead and moves the Doom out of the way. Snake Eyes, big boot, leg drop, 2 count, trying to end this early, get that win.
Well, I almost ended it early and threw my remote through the TV screen because Matt Stryker completely botches Undertaker, Kane, and Paul Bearer's backstory here on commentary. And
yes,
I'm a little less mad since you brought up that he got it right on commentary on SmackDown last week. I guess I didn't catch that. So I give him like the slightest ounce of credit because he did get it right once. But watching it here on the pay-per-view, Stryker says,
quick backstory, Paul Bearer had an affair with a woman in the bowels of the funeral home in which he lived. The spawn of that forbidden affair was the demon scene Kane.
And it just made my blood boil because he didn't just have an affair with a woman in the funeral home. He had an affair with the Undertaker's mother, and thus Kane was born. It's not that Paul Bearer is Undertaker's father. He's not his half-brother that way. He's his half-brother through his mother. So it's not just some woman. It's Undertaker's mother. They're half-brothers on the mother's side. You insufferable fool.
Yeah, the way he presents it there, it does sound like he's saying that Bearer is the father of both of them.
Which would be better on TV, but that's not how it is.
Right, and you got to stick with it.
You have to.
Yeah, it was. I was confused about that too. I was like, man, what? I don't know. Like I said, he got it right on SmackDown, but then like he completely blew it there. So anyway,
It's not the only thing he
yeah,
blows
well-
either. Or, well, excuse me. It's not the only thing commentary
he blows
blows.
chunks.
Michael Cole is
Oh,
about to blow something else.
he blows chunks every time he opens his mouth. Anyway, so I'm so lost in this match. Where are we here? Oh yeah, at this point, like you said, there's a history lesson there, and then Michael Cole says that Paul Bearer and the Undertaker first got together in 1991, which I just wrote, nope. This made me about as mad as Matt Striker did you. Like, they did not. The whole storyline is that Bearer raised him like after his parents burned and died. Like they got together on television in WWE. But if you're gonna sit here and try to play this whole storyline out, at least play by the rules you've already laid down, you know. So,
And that's not just like
I said, Matt Striker and Cole blow it.
That's not just like comic book stuff. That's on TV during the 90s, during the
Right.
whole original Kane feud. We talk about
Yes.
Undertaker and Paul Bearer's history together. So yes, he debuted with him on TV in 1991. You're correct, but that's not. They've known each other since Undertaker was born. That is canon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was completely frustrating. So I don't get it, man.
Okay, well, enough of that frustration. Let's get back on track into the match here. Kane's gonna knock Undertaker down with a punch and a few more chair shots, and unloads with some shots on Undertaker in the corner. Takes Undertaker to the outside. Undertaker recovers, and it's just a lot of brawling, a lot of punches, kicking, chair shots, stuff like that. Undertaker lays Kane across the stairs and hits some boots to Kane's head, slams Kane into the cell, and then he tries to whip Kane into the cell, Irish whip, but Kane reverses and sends Undertaker flying into the stairs in one of his, signature spots.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kane's going to start kicking him, grabs a chair, attacks Taker with it, and nails his left leg repeatedly with that chair. And then this made my favorite part of the match. There's a dude in the audience. He goes, "Let's have a chairs match." I was like, yes.
No.
I love this guy.
No, hate that guy.
But I
Ban
love
him
this
for
guy
life.
was just like paying attention to like chairs match. You know he wasn't serious. But
I hope not.
yeah, it was great to hear somebody say that. So Kane puts Taker on the apron and then wraps his leg around the ring post. So it's really, working on the left leg, which, again, I love psychology in a match. I love when a guy works a body part. But this match, it just seems so out of place. This is a blood feud between brothers who have burned each other, and there's infidelity in the family, and they're put them in a vegetative state, and there's just burning each other and lighting each other on fire. And this just been, I just found it an odd approach toward this match that Kane's going to work a body part, and it's going to come, and it's going to be more of the match later on. I don't know about you, but that's just, it really threw me for a loop to see that here.
Absolutely. This is hurt by being a Hell in a Cell match in the year 2010. There's no blood. There's, no crazy spots. There's nobody getting thrown through the cell or off the cell or through the ring or anything like that. There's been so many Hell in a Cells, and and they're just, they're more TV PG in this era. So that stuff's not going to happen. So they try their best. They try really hard here, but last month's or 2 weeks ago's match, in the No Holds Barred, they were able to use all the bells and whistles and all the smoke and mirrors to fight, through the crowd and use tables and stuff like that and do so much more stuff in that match. Here, they're actually hurt by being in Hell in a Cell because they're stuck in there without anything to do except throw each other into the side of the cell.
Yep, exactly. Great analysis there. But I guess storyline wise, it makes sense to have it there. But they were really handcuffed by the PG-ness of it. So, well, like I said, Kane's going to keep working over Taker's leg and kicks his legs into the steps and kind of and then headbutts him, punches him, rolls Taker back in the ring. Crowd's chanting for Taker at this point, and then Kane's going to stomp the leg, stomp the ankle, slam the knee on the apron, uppercut him, punch him, back outside. Kane runs at Taker, but Taker winds up moving, and Kane smashes in the cell, so Taker can now go on offense.
Taker rolls in, right hands to Kane, gets Kane on the apron, hits the apron offense and the apron leg drop. But, of course, Undertaker is still selling that leg. He's struggling to put weight on it, and because of that, Kane's able to regain control, and he gets in kind of a leg lock submission there in the middle of the ring, and the match really just grinds to a halt. That's not what you want to see in a Hell in a Cell match here, but the crowd does get into it. There, Taker's still doing what he does best. He fights through it. He's not just laying on the ground. He's selling big and trying to get his struggle back out of the move. He finally elbows his way out. Both guys are on their knees punching, and Kane does actually get a little color hard way. He's been busted up on the back of his head here, but they continue to throw punches and kicks. Like doing the yay, boo punches, and Kane gets the best of Undertaker, but Undertaker recovers and hits that running, jumping clothesline onto Kane.
Yep, hits that. Then he sells his knee and wrenches that arm for Old School, goes up top for Old School, but Kane crotches him on top of the turnbuckle and gets up there. They kind of battle back and forth a little bit, and then he winds up hitting a superplex to Undertaker. And then after that superplex, Kane immediately gets up and goes to the top rope and comes off with a diving clothesline. And then he's going to come over to try to get a cover, pinfall on Taker, but Taker's going to slip on Hell's Gate.
But Taker can't quite lock it on the way that he's used to here because of his injured leg, so he can't get it fully cinched in. And Kane is able to kind of wiggle his way to the outside of the ring and break out of the hold, which is something we haven't really seen anybody really be able to do, break out of that. We've seen him get to the ropes, but no one's really been able to totally break out of the hold here. But it's all due to Taker's injured leg. These guys both get back up to their feet, back in the ring, and they hit the double big boot spot and knock each other down. Undertaker sits up first, but Kane sits up right behind him. And they're throwing punches on their knees, just going move for move, punch for punch with each other. And Undertaker gets his little running DDT for a 2 count, goes for the choke slam, goozles him, and that gets a 2 count as well.
Yeah, after that 2 count, though, Paul Bearer is getting to be Paul Bearer. He's upset on the outside. He thought that should have been it. So then Taker's going to kick Kane in the gut and go for a last ride, but Taker's going to punch Taker's leg, the one that he's been working on the whole match, and he's going to hit a choke slam to Undertaker and cover him for 2. So Taker kicks out. Then Kane splashes Taker in the corner a couple times, and then he's going to make the error that if you do this after 2001, you should have been paying attention. You never go for 10 punch in the corner. So he's gonna go for 10 punch in the corner, and Taker's gonna hit the last ride out of the corner.
Come on, Kane. You've been like up on the apron watching Undertaker do that. You should know better. Come on.
Yeah.
Undertaker gets a 2 count out of that. It always gets a pop. It's always a great near fall from the crowd. Crowd loves it every single time. Undertaker goes for the tombstone. Kane flips out and hits his own tombstone. And boy, does he ever drop Undertaker right on his head here, man. It is not the best tombstone. But Undertaker survives it and kicks out at 2. And Kane is frustrated and uppercuts the referee out of anger, knocking him out.
It reminds me of that tombstone Taker gave Coco Beware. Was that at Survivor Series 90?
Yeah, very simple.
He did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just nasty. But, Kane, like you said, he uppercuts the referee, and he's pitching a fit, and, of course, other refs are going to come unlock the door to remove the referee. But as they do that, Paul Bearer makes his way in the ring. He's cheering Taker on. He's holding the urn, and Kane begins to stalk Paul Bearer here, stalks him around the ring, and poor Bear, he's looking better, but he still waddles like the penguin. So he waddles away into the corner, and Kane's like, "You shouldn't have come back. You should have stayed buried. Do you have any idea what I'm going to do to you? And at this point, Taker's going to sit up, and Kane turns around into another choke slam.
Yeah. Bearer is just he's just not what he used to be, man. It's he's struggling to move around. Like you said, he looks a little bit healthier, but age has really gotten to him here.
Yeah.
And carrying that weight around for so long, he's just, he's having a hard time getting around and slows everything down here. Mike Chioda runs into the ring as Bear's trying to hype up Undertaker. Kane begins to chase after Bear. He's got nowhere to run. Bear ends up slowly getting into the ring as Kane stalks him, and Kane backs Paul Bearer into the corner. Undertaker sits up, huge pop. Undertaker hits a choke slam. Paul Bearer holds the urn up as Undertaker rolls his eyes back in his head and does the throat slash. And then we get something we've never seen before in the middle of a match, at least. We saw this something similar when Undertaker faced Edge in Hell in a Cell and sent him off the ladder into hell. But tell us what happens next.
Well, the thunder rolls and the lightning flashes, and the purple lights come up and the flames go up. So we got the lights down, basically. So like the house lights are down, and we got just the purple lights on it. So it's kind of like the whole room has gone dark, but you can still see them in the ring. And Taker is going to pull his straps down, and he gets Kane up for a tombstone. And as he does, Paul Bearer removes the top of the urn and points it at Taker, and a quote unquote blinding light shines out of it, and that makes Taker lose all of his faculties, and he drops Kane and falls to his knees. So he has been blinded by the light.
Wrapped up by Kane in a pinfall. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pinfall in the night. Ew. Well, Undertaker is confused about that. Apparently we are too.
Yeah, man. I'll talk about it in a minute, but yeah.
Paul hands the urn over to Kane. Kane slams it into Undertaker's face and hands it back over to Paul. Kane hits a choke slam and gets the pin at 21 minutes 38 seconds to retain the world title, reunite with his father. And I didn't really describe it like this, but man, the last minute of that match with all these antics with Kane and Paul Bearer, it feels like it took 5 minutes because it is so slow, so awkward. Paul Bearer, he has to walk from Undertaker over to Kane, and it just takes so long. And Undertaker just has to stand there before Kane can hit the Undertaker with the urn. He just has to stand there looking stupid. It's the idea of it is fine. The storyline is fine. And it's just sad that the execution is so poor.
Yeah, and that's my thing. So, I really dug this storyline. I dug adding Paul Bearer to it. I dug the full circleness of it, if that's even a word, bringing it back to Hell in a Cell. I dug that it had higher stakes. It was for the world title again. I dug it's a main event. But like you said, the execution was completely not excellent. It just didn't have the same sense of urgency as a Night of Champions match did. And Paul Bearer with the flashlight, you could see him flipping the button on the bottom when he's doing the flashlight. It wasn't hidden at all. And then, like you said, Taker has to stand there looking like a doofus. He just literally stands there as Kane runs at him and hits him with the thing. It's he usually protects his character a lot better than that, but he couldn't help it here. I mean, it just took Paul Bearer a long time to get in the right place to make that happen. So, not my favorite interaction between them. I didn't hate it, but the potential was way up here, and it just really missed the mark in my opinion. So
exactly, like we've said a couple times on here, just really actually hurt by being in Hell in a Cell rather than helped by it, because it sets the expectations so high. I get it, and I like it in theory. They were tying this storyline in to their original storyline. And even, the spot where the referee gets hurt and someone else comes into the match, that's straight out of the original Hell in a Cell. So there's that. So you almost have to do it, but it just doesn't work, man. It's not their best match by any means. Just really disappointing, really poor execution, and it's just a shame that it has to go out that way.
And this is probably my second least favorite Hell in a Cell match with Taker after the Big Boss Man one.
Oh yeah,
and I hate to say that, but this is probably the second worst in my opinion.
Yeah, I think without question. The CM Punk one was just kind of there as well, but this one just the execution is just so sloppy and so poor that it definitely knocks it down there. But the show ends with Kane and Paul Bearer making their way to the back. Undertaker is selling on the inside, and Paul takes the cover off the urn one more time and lets the light shine out as Kane menaces at the top of the stage, and the announcers wonder why Paul Bearer would bring the Undertaker back from the brink of destruction just to destroy him again, and I'm sure we'll find out the reasons why soon.
I could probably answer that. Look at their history. Let's call it 1990. Let's dial 1996 up.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, seriously, it's like, plus Kane's his son. So
yeah,
again, they're not both his son, even though he's the father of destruction. Just Kane's his son. So, anyway.
Well, we will wrap up this storyline next week as we keep this podcast rolling on to the last ride. And we'll see if this one lives up to the expectations of the No Holds Barred match, if it can live up to that performance, or if it'll be more like this Hell in a Cell match as The Undertaker and Kane go at it one last time in a buried alive match. Man, I don't know. I kind of wish we could have got like an Inferno match. Maybe that would have been better than Hell in a Cell. I don't know. Maybe they could have done more with that. I don't know. Just a shame that this one didn't live up to the hype for it. Maybe the Buried Alive match can do something there. But that will be a unique episode. That will be technically our last Undertaker pay-per-view match that's not WrestleMania until SummerSlam of 2015. So he's going to take a 5-year absence from anything that's not a WrestleMania after next week's bragging rights pay-per-view.
It's crazy.
What a way to go out.
Crazy. So
that will mark the end of an era of sorts as far as we are concerned, as far as we're organizing things on our spreadsheet. We're going to call next week the end of this Return of the Dead Man era that began at WrestleMania 20 in March of 2004. And so we're going to give you our top 10 matches of this era. So WrestleMania 20 against Kane is where it started, in our opinion, and Bragging Rights 2010 against Kane is where it will end as well, where that bookend will be. So we'll give you our top 10 pay-per-view matches that we've covered during that time. Quite a bit. I think it's our biggest chunk of matches. It's right up there with the first chunk. It's right up there. It's pretty close. So we'll cover all of that next week and cover that whole storyline with Undertaker and Kane and Paul Bearer and how it all wraps up on next week's episode. And, of course, we'll throw the voting up for you as well. We want to get the fans' top 10 like we've done with the other eras before this as well. And then, when we get to the end of the show, when we get to the final match, the Boneyard match, we'll do a big grand, maybe top 15, maybe top 20 of just everything in his entire career. We'll go through and combine it into one big epic top 15, top 20 list, something like that. But for now, we'll do a top 10 for this era next week. So that's something you can look forward to, folks. And didn't have too many comments on the social media for this match. I think most people you know, probably would prefer to forget this match
Mum's
as
the
well.
word.
But we, of course, are always open to those on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TalkingTaker. You know where to find us. You know you can always hit us up and tell us what you thought of our match, if you agreed with us, if you disagree with us, all that good stuff. I mean, really, the only thing I've got is this doesn't even have to do with this match, but one of our listeners, Drew Carfrey, or at CarfreyD, he posted a picture of himself with Taker from, he said it's from November of this year, but he hadn't ever posted that over to us, and just talked about meeting his favorite wrestler, The Undertaker. Cool picture. He doesn't have a Taker Easy shirt on, man, but anybody else who has a Taker Easy shirt, you know what to do. So, get a picture with Taker, and we got something special coming your way, or get it on the Thunderdome. Send us a screenshot of that.
Yes, sir.
We'll get something special coming out your way as well.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it. I was actually on the pre-Thunderdome. We didn't mention it last week, but I got on the Thursday night trial run of the Thunderdome before they actually brought it onto that first SmackDown. So it wasn't on TV, so I didn't wear a Talking Taker shirt, but it was a fun experience. It was neat. I haven't gotten in since then, but anyway, it was fun. But yeah, if you guys can get on there on the Talking Taker or with a Talking Taker t-shirt, we got a surprise for you.
Oh yeah, so take a screenshot of it. Make sure we see it. We will send you a gift of appreciation as well. Pull our punk card on that one, if you will.
Yes.
Some news. We got, you know, I'm just trying to. We haven't. This episode's short, man. I'm just stretching it out. But this is actually big news. The Undertaker Last Ride series has been confirmed for a DVD release in the United States, and DVD, Blu-ray, and special collector's edition. But that's only coming out in the UK. A limited, I think it's 666 copies that will have a special signed by The Undertaker. But it's only UK. What? So I might have to get like a region-free DVD player or something, man. I really want one of those. But I will for sure be picking up the DVD. I have not purchased a DVD in a few years. I still have my Blu-ray player in the living room. I go to our video store here in Atlanta, Videodrome. Shout out to those guys, and I rent movies from them almost every weekend. But I have not purchased a DVD in a few years. This one, I will definitely have to add it to the collection. It will be really cool to have, and I'm really glad that they're still going to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad because everything's so much just streaming now or on the network or whatever. So I still like to have physical copies of movies or, you know, stuff like this. I'll definitely be buying the Blu-ray for that. It's the 30th anniversary collector's edition, looks like, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, man.
UK,
well, the Blu-ray, Blu-ray's man. UK only. All the Blu-rays, only DVD in America, which is a bummer.
Yeah,
because I'm a Blu-ray guy. For sure.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, we'll be picking it up, man. It'll be awesome. So
and if there's any bonus stuff on there, we'll definitely talk about it on the show whenever it comes out. And do you know, maybe we do audio commentary for it. I love a good audio commentary.
But it's cool because if the internet goes out, you know, like you could still watch the Last Ride documentary as long as you got TV. You know, as long as you still got power. If your internet goes out, you can still watch it, man. Still enjoy it. So anyway,
if Zoom is down, you can just put in the Last Ride instead of working.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't you worry about it.
And I'll just do a quick figure update on the Undertaker figure collection. This actually came in about a week ago, man. But Travis, you see this guy? Can you tell who that is?
Is that Double J?
That is Double J.
Holy cow.
Jeff Jarrett. Bendham. So this is the only Jeff Jarrett in that Aztec warrior gear that he wore very briefly. That he wears in his match with The Undertaker at In Your House Degeneration X. A horrible match that Jeff Jarrett actually won. That was actually, I think, That was our first episode of Raising Kane. I'm pretty sure that started that episode.
Man.
That's a fun episode to go back and
Yeah.
listen to tie into this week's. If you want to go back in the archives, but had to get that Jeff Jarrett because it's the only one that looks like this. Only figure that got made of him in that short-lived gear.
It's pretty cool.
So, I'm not super strict about it, but I've been trying to get an accurate version. It doesn't have to be like the exact gear that they wrestled Taker in. There's some figures that are like that. And I'd like to get, I don't have a Shawn Michaels from Mania 25 or 26, but I want to get one of those. But I've been trying to get them as accurate as possible to the era that they faced Undertaker. So,
yeah.
And this guy was not too expensive. So, not a huge market for the Jeff Jarrett Bendham. So I added that to the collection. And then I don't think I ever brought this up, but I had a mystery for the Cowboy Bob Orton figure that I bought because someone wrote Taker Easy on the... whatever, the review or the rating on eBay or something, and I couldn't figure out who it was. Watch Along Tommy, Watch Along Wrestling. He sent me a message a few weeks ago. I forgot to mention it here on the pod, but he was who I purchased from. Purchased that Cowboy Bob Orton from. Yep, and he recognized my name on the eBay profile and sent that over. So appreciate that, Tommy.
What a small world, man. That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome, man. That's insane. Well, yeah, that's crazy. Well, speaking of, we didn't mention this at the beginning of this episode, but speaking of Jeff Jarrett, I'm going to take a loose jump to Road Dogg. I'm going to take a loose jump to his dad, Bullet Bob, just passed away this past weekend. So we want our condolences to him. I guess 2 episodes from now, we will be talking about the Hall of Fame and our WrestleMania experience at WrestleMania 27. And we got to see Bullet Bob go in the Hall of Fame that night. So, yeah. Condolences to Bullet Bob and the whole Armstrong family, or the James family, whatever you want to call them. But anyway, Armstrong family. But anyway, yeah, good. He was never really, did much in WWE, I guess you could say, but he did a lot. He was fun to watch. And his whole family, they have a dynasty. So, rest in peace. So
didn't see him work too much, but a lot of people have been sharing some promos of him on Twitter and stuff that I've been watching, and what a promo, man. You see where Jesse James got it from his papa.
Yeah.
Man, intensity, man. Him and Cornette having some promo battles was fun to watch. So, yeah, rest in peace.
Well, got anything else?
That's it, man. I was just trying to get us over an hour.
Well, you can find us on all the socials, like you said earlier. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, if you were there on October 3rd, what an early pay-per-view, like the 3rd day of the month, man. It's weird. So, yeah, but anyway, if you were there from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, let us know if you got to see, this classic, Taker and Kane match here with the return of Paul Bearer. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you were disappointed like we were, if you had high hopes that you got let down. But anyway, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Stay safe out there. Enjoy your movie theater experience by yourself if you can. And as always, take her easy.
This is a dark tale of 2 brothers. It is complete with betrayal, jealousy, pride, love, and hate. It is a father's nightmare, a mother's sin, and a sadist's dream. The world's heavyweight championship hangs in the balance in Hell in a Cell.